Laker fans, Laker fans, welcome back. We got more action tonight. Second night of a back-to-back. Got the Phoenix Suns, and should be a pretty tough matchup tonight. Phoenix actually playing surprisingly well. Have a few injury updates to go through. Injury updates on both sides. One for the Lakers, one I guess kind of main one for the Suns that we all knew about, but is a fairly healthy matchup tonight. Then we're going to talk a little bit about the Jared Vanderbilt issue. Should he play? Should he not be playing? Is on his fifth straight DNP at this point. A little bit about the matchup between them, a little bit of matchup data, a little pregame talk. So let me know how you guys feel about the matchup, how you feel about what I'm going to go through real quick, and any other questions that you might have. So to begin, yes, we do have a quick update. If you have not heard, Marcus Smart will not be playing tonight, is once again out with a lower back injury management. 3 games ago, he had back spasms, so I imagine it's kind of referring back to that. I'm not going to say it's a huge issue yet. They played quite a few games in 3 games in 4 days here. Don't want to push him too much. I imagine they're saving him for their road trip. So hopefully he'll be back for that, but not going to be in their game tonight. Then for the Suns, they have no Jalen Green tonight. They have no Ryan Dunn. I think is going to play tonight. No Jalen Green is pretty much the main one for them. The only main guy for them out, and that's kind of about it for Phoenix. I'll pull up the screen for you guys to watch with me here. But yeah, no Marcus Smart for the Lakers tonight. It's still pretty good to see a pretty small injury report for them. I mean, imagine back to their first and second game when they had half the team on the injury report, so I'll take that. But unfortunately, no Marcus Smart tonight. That's a big defender loss against a team with Devin Booker. Hate to say it, even Dylan Brooks is playing really well for them. They have a pretty decent offense in general. And as of right now, the Suns actually rank 12th in offensive rating. The Lakers are currently in the top 5. They bumped up to 5th after their last game last night. They're pretty comparable, actually, both offensively, defensively. Neither team plays very quick. The Lakers are 20th in pace. Hopefully you guys can see that here with me. Let me actually lower my screen for you guys to hopefully see that. But the Suns actually play even slower than they do. They're 24th in pace. So isn't going to be a lot of up and down the court tonight. The Lakers' main transition guy, of course, even at 41, about to be 41, is LeBron. But apart from that, going to be more of a half-court game, more of a grind fest night, maybe a little bit of trash talk. I think we can guarantee a little bit of trash talk between Dylan Brooks and LeBron, Luka, Austin, maybe even Mark Williams, nearly Laker Mark Williams. So that should be interesting to watch play out, but it will be more of a half-court game tonight. After that, I think we'll talk a little bit about the Jared Vanderbilt stuff. I think I got my screen pulled up yet for you guys to look at. Like I said, has not played in 5 straight games. Is Redick maybe gonna let him loose on their road trip? Maybe tonight with no Marcus Smart and taking on Devin Booker? Maybe. Probably not, though, in my opinion. Kind of what's really the point with Jared Vanderbilt at this point. I know a lot of people say if they're not going to play him, then trade him. That's another issue. The guy has no trade value and maybe even negative trade value. So it's really a tough situation. It's kind of a good problem to have good depth with Jared Vanderbilt, but also it's an issue to where you have a productive guy that's given you good defense and even has really turned around some games for you in the past, but now you can't get him on the court. He doesn't fit your offense. He doesn't fit the scheme that Redick wants to run, and it's really an issue right now. How do you guys feel about the Vanderbilt situation? How do you feel about the matchup tonight? I'll answer a few of you guys' questions, but let me know how you feel about the matchup, Jared Vanderbilt. Obviously, a lot of your guys' first live streams tuning in, so if it's your first one, appreciate it. But no, this is not my first live stream, not the face reveal. I've done about 30 of these, so if it's your first one, welcome. But if not, welcome back. Uh, get to a question. Is Ayton playing tonight? Yes, DeAndre Ayton is playing tonight. And Mark Williams is also playing tonight, yes. Gonna go up here. Maxi and Gabe need to get traded for some consistent three-point shooters. Maybe eventually. I wouldn't say right now yet that's a top priority, but maybe down the line if the Lakers can turn around their offense, which, like I pointed to before, they're playing pretty well right now. Currently top 5 in offensive rating with the 5th offensive rating. In their past 5 games, they're actually number 1. The starting lineup is very good offensively, not so much defensively. I've talked about it over and over. Two-way talent, 3-and-D talent. That's the current need for them, in my opinion. But yeah, shooting, maybe down the line, if that can't be corrected, at least kind of go back to the norm where they were last season. Maybe trade a guy like Gabe, maybe trade Vince or Maxi Kleber, maybe both. Maybe even if they can trade a Jared Vanderbilt, possibly. But yeah, stuff to maybe think about in the future. Let's get Keon. Need trade talk. Yeah, a lot of you guys are definitely in the trade talk. Pin this one. We can't trade Vanderbilt, unfortunately. Yeah, that's kind of the part I'm at here too. I don't think they can. I even wouldn't want to trade Jared Vanderbilt with his current trade value. If you know anything about trade value and how it relates to contract production, I think you kind of agree with the fact that he has neutral, if not negative, trade value. Guaranteed contract for 3 more years after this season, has a player option, fully guaranteed. So you're not going to get anything for him. You're probably going to have to give up an asset to simply get rid of him. So at that point, it's better to keep him as depth than to even try to trade him, as you're not going to get much. But yeah, another argument if you're not going to play Vanderbilt is a lot of people think, even I'm kind of coming around to it too, that maybe Adu Thero should get minutes. He played 2 minutes in their last game, got a brief little stint, had 1 steal in that time frame, didn't really get much of an opportunity, but if you're not going to play Vanderbilt, Marcus Smart's not playing, he's not healthy, maybe try out Adu Thero. Unlimited athletic ability, definitely can give your team a spark, can take on tough matchups, even a pretty good rebounder. So at that point, maybe try it out, maybe give Adu Thero a chance, see if he can be slightly better offensively than Vanderbilt. Who knows? I think Redick should maybe try it out, or maybe try to give them one more chance, either for Vanderbilt or maybe Adu Thero. A lot of you guys talking trades. Sadiq Bey. Probably not for Sadiq Bey. Not a real true 3-and-D player. A comment here. I don't get all the hate towards Vando. This is who he is. Just a good defender. He's the same player when he got the extension. I don't think it's hate. If you're talking about me, definitely not hate from my end. I don't even think it's hate from 90% of the fans that talk about maybe think about moving on from him. It's simply the fact that he doesn't really fit with what Redick wants to do. On top of that, I don't think Redick really utilizes him that well, doesn't kind of put him in the role that he's best fit for defensively, in my opinion. Kind of that point of attack, aggressor, pest on defense to switch, keep on the toughest matchup, and whether he gets put in a pick and roll, gets put into any kind of defensive situation, he's the guy to take on that matchup, and Redick isn't quite using him that way. I'd also say that Vanderbilt isn't playing as well as he once did, not only offensively, but defensively a bit too. Doesn't really have the explosiveness that he had pre-foot surgery. I think he actually had what, 2 or 3 different foot surgeries. So it's a little bit on both Reddick and Vanderbilt too. Yeah, here's a good comment I agree with. Thing is, we need two-way players. The offense of Luka, LeBron, and Reeves only provides so much if you can't space the floor. With shooters, their whole scheme is paint collapse to kick it out to shooters. Yeah, pretty much. If that's kind of the problem with trying to have a Vanderbilt or even a Duthier on the court, offensively with what they do and the guys that Luka, LeBron, and Austin fit well around, and the guys they prefer to play with them. That's not really what a Vanderbilt and a Duthiero, not even a Marcus Smart at times really is. A catch and shoot guy that's a timely backdoor cutter. Not really what they do and not the best fit for their offense. Oh, we got a super chat here from the notorious CRG. I'm terrible at pinning comments. Let me do my best to try and do that. But anyway, the question from the notorious CRG is, what about this kid Robert Ory from Alabama? I read Alabama right away, and I thought you were going to talk about a Duthiero. But Robert Ory, yeah, that's the throwback. I think we see him pretty often in the Lakers Spectrum Sportsnet studio, but I'm not sure they have a Robert Ory playing for them right now. Rui Hachimura kind of has the build of a Robert Ory, but not quite the same player. Appreciate the comment, though. Appreciate the super chat. Thank you. Yeah, lots of Vanderbilt talk from you guys. It's really tough. It's a tough situation. He's definitely a fan favorite. I know I love the hardworking guys. I know many of you guys love the hardworking guys that play defense, rebound, put their body on the line. We love to see it. But if you really think about it from a schematical standpoint and what they're trying to accomplish, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for him to be out there that much, given the lack of impact that he has offensively, given the lack of scheme fit for him. It's a tough situation. I wish he would fit better, and I think he probably should get in more than Reddick is using him. In some matchups, at least, I'd try him out, but it's a tough situation. I'm reading through a few of you guys' comments. Vando can't shoot, pass, or make layups. Not by NBA standards, anyway, unfortunately. Ori is 60 years old. I'll pin this one quick. What about possibly getting Tari Eason at the deadline for Gabe and Connect? I love Tari Eason, but that wouldn't be nearly enough to get him. I think you have the right idea. Getting a bigger wing that's a good three-point shooter, good defender, young, would fit their timeline with Luka. But I don't think that would be enough to get him. I don't think the Rockets would trade with Lakers. And yeah, right idea, wrong player to target. Oh yeah, that's a good one right there. Comment from the Thunder game. We can all see that their two-way players are really vital. Yeah, I think they're putting that on a masterclass display right now. Obviously, the championship team they have, the guys they have on their team, everyone from their top guys with J-Dub to Shea, all the way down to our boy Caruso, Casey Wallace, pretty much their entire team in rotation. They're legitimate two-way players, impacting the game offensively, defensively, whether it's directly with the 3-and-D ability, whether it's with 30 points per game with Shea, 2 steals per game on defense, and good defense in general. That's what they have, and that's what they built their entire team identity around. I think that's kind of the concept every team should try to adopt in today's NBA. I don't know how you can really expect to beat pretty much every team and have the best possible game plan and identity for every matchup if you don't have a majority of two-way guys in your team. So yeah, definitely agree with you. You did. Trying to read through all of your comments. If you really want to get my attention, no pressure, but feel free to do the super chat. But you guys leave in some good comments. I'll try to get to a few more of them here. Not going to do a long live stream tonight. Just wanted to do a little pregame talk and chat with you guys a bit. Baji, Tari. Point guard depth. We're talking a lot about other teams. Let me know how you guys feel about the matchup tonight here too. Hey, we have another super chat from the notorious CRG again. Appreciate it. The question is, and let me try to pin it this time. I don't know why my feed with OBS won't let me pin super chats, but replaying your comment here. But the comment is, in all seriousness, you think Vando is incapable of providing the defense he was paid for? I've heard Herb Jones is having an off year. Is the price down? I imagine you mean for Herb. I don't think Vando is incapable of providing the defense that he was paid for. If you're not aware of the contract, and I can pull it up for even here really quick. He's getting paid roughly $12 million per year right now. Let me pull up the contract. So if you're going to kind of relate it to that, is he incapable of providing defense at a $12 million per year kind of value? No, I wouldn't say that. But it's not just about the defense. When you're talking about the contract and what he's being paid for, they also paid him that contract with the hope and intention that he would improve offensively or even kind of remain what he was during that 22-23 season. You know, he was actually better that year than he was right now. In fact, that might have been his best offensive year of his career. You know, I think he shot 32% from three, was their best defender or perimeter defender by far. Definitely was worth that contract at that time, and they were hoping that he would at least stay that way or get better. But I'd argue that he regressed a little bit from that year defensively, a lot offensively, and really hasn't made it kind of the same way and hasn't made it worth the contract they gave him. Again, I'm kind of talking from what I think the Lakers think and what Redick feels about it, even maybe what Rob Pelinka has kind of talked with Redick too. I would still try to find a way to play him. I think the defense in some matchups can be valuable yet, especially with no Marcus Smart, no real primary defensive option for them at the perimeter. I tried out and I think it would be a decent option yet, but that's kind of the viewpoint I think Redick, Pelinka, the Lakers coaching staff and their front office kind of view him right now. Then for the question about Herb Jones, he's having an off year. I don't know if I'd say an off year for him per se. I think the entire Pelicans team is pretty awful at this point, so it's affecting not only him but obviously their entire team. I can pull up the stats for him here and we can review that if he's really having an off year per the numbers. I know he didn't play in their game last night, so we couldn't evaluate him fully that way. Defensively, if you're talking about steals per game, is a little bit down. Career average of 1.6, now at 1.4. I don't really want to evaluate the defensive BPM with him too much, but I do know that's negative for him, the first time ever. But with the Pelicans being a bottom 5 defense, I am pretty positive about that without even looking. Yep, they're the third worst defense in the entire NBA. That's going to affect your entire team. Even if you're a good individual defender, you're not going to be a very highly rated defender if your entire team is that terrible on defense. And if you have 4 wins, nearly 20 games in. Yeah. I think, though, if you put him on a better team in a better situation, he'd go right back to where he was. I don't think it's a terrible year for Herb Jones in particular. More like a terrible year for the entire Pelicans team. Appreciate the comment though. Hopefully I didn't. Hopefully I answered your question, and hopefully I didn't ramble too much. Here's an interesting comment with Rui Hachimura. We ain't gonna have money for Rui with AR and Aiton. You know, they'll have money for him, but it's gonna be more about how much will they have left under the second apron. They're not gonna have cap space either way, even if LeBron leaves and opens up about 50 million off their payroll. They'll put roughly, I imagine, 30 to 40 million of that toward Austin. If they would retain DeAndre Ayton, probably another 15 to 20, if not even a little bit more. So at that point, they're kind of right back to where they were payroll wise. They would have maybe 10 million, maybe 15 if the cap really jumps up for Rui at that point. They're not going to be able to give him a pay increase. I don't think he really would need a pay increase to stay on their team. I mean, he's making 18 million this season, so I think that would be a fair offer for him. If he would come back for that price or not, that will obviously be dependent on how he plays the rest of this year, how much they value him, and kind of what he proves throughout the entire year again. I think they'll have space for him, but it kind of comes down to, again, what he offers, and after LeBron leaves, if he'll be that missing piece to fill in for him. Okay, we have a follow up here. You personally think that with the offensive efficiency of the Lakers now, he should be getting at least some minutes. I imagine you're talking about Vanderbilt again. Yeah, I think that's a decent thing to point to with them being a top five offense and their starting lineup being the best offense in the NBA in the past couple of weeks now. Given that their bench unit's so great defensively but terrible offensively, would it balance out, and could you make him fit? Maybe surround him with good offensive players that don't really need his offensive contribution. I think you can think about it that way. I definitely do as well. I, I keep going back to it though that I don't think Redick views it that way. I think he views it the opposite of what you're trying to do with Vanderbilt, trying to pair him with the best offensive players in their team so it'll kind of level out. I think Redick views that more as Vanderbilt will bring them down, therefore bringing down the best part of their team, their offense, and really the combination of Luka, Austin, and the spacing around them. I think he views it more that way rather than maybe balance that Vanderbilt could bring for them. That's kind of what I think Redick is kind of seeing it as. How do the Celtics pay 628 million in their team? That's why they actually had to do a bunch of trades and offload a bunch of salary. That's why Porzingis is not with them anymore. Why Drew Holiday is not with them anymore. That new CBA, it's a killer. CJ McCollum was definitely the worst NBPA president of all time, in my opinion. We have to deal with this CBA until, what, 2034? 2032, I think. So, blame him, but that's why all the salary cap hula hoops are what they are at this point. Yeah, a lot of Vanderbilt talk. Dylan Brooks' legacy game incoming. He's been playing really well. I think in their past 5 games, averaging like 19, 20 points per game. I'm going to verify that actually. Hold on here. But I feel like every time he plays the Lakers, he talks a lot and doesn't do a whole lot offensively. Yeah, I mean, on the entire season, he's averaging 21.5 a game. Good Lord. Yeah, he's having a career year right now. Hopefully you guys can see that here with me. Yeah, Dylan Brooks right now is averaging 21.5 points per game, 3.2 rebounds per game, 1.7 steals per game, shooting 45% from the field and 32% from three, attempting a career high 17 shots per game, nearly 8 3-point shots per game. So, yeah, he's letting it fly right now. I wouldn't doubt if he would drop 20 on them tonight, but he might get caught up in yapping a bit too much, pushing LeBron and trying to do his antics that might throw him off. So I guess we'll wait and see. And how far? I'll pin that one. How far do I think the Lakers can go with a trade, and how far do you think they can go without one? That's a good question. That can go a bunch of different ways. Health dependent. I think they could. I think if they wouldn't match up with OKC in round 1 or 2, I imagine you're talking about the postseason here. I think they could go all the way to the conference finals without a trade. I think they're good enough to do it. They might have a little bit of difficulty with some matchups compared to others, but I think they can beat any team but the OKC Thunder with this current rendition of their team. No, it won't be easy, but I think they have the firepower to do it. I think if they're healthy, they could do it. I simply don't think they can overcome OKC with this current iteration of their team. I think they might be able to beat them for a game or two. I think even their next regular season matchup, I wouldn't be shocked if they win. But with their current lack of two-way talent, their lack of versatility on their team in general, I don't know if you can win an NBA championship with 90% of your team being one-way players that are not usually two-way players and a really severe lack of 3-and-D talent on top of that. I don't know. I think it would be tough. I think they have a good team. I think they're a top-tier team in the West, but not quite above OKC. With a trade, though, I think you imagine what I'd say. The right trade, and if they stay healthy with a trade, maybe a couple of them. And if they don't trade away the wrong players, then yeah, I think they could win a championship. Can we trade 2034 if you're talking about the CBA? Yeah. I can verify that, but I think it's 2032 or 2034. New NBA CBA. Okay. It goes until 2030. So not quite 2034. I was purely guessing, but it does go for another half decade here. Can we trade for Brooks? I don't think so. Welcome all of you to our joining for maybe the first live stream ever of mine. Appreciate you tuning in. We'll go a little bit longer here. I went through a majority of the matchup data and updates before. If you're just tuning in, we will have Marcus Smart out tonight. That's the only Laker out tonight. DeAndre Ayton is playing tonight. LeBron's back tonight. Luka, Austin, they're both playing. For Phoenix, they have Jalen Green out. Other than that, not really anyone else out for either team. Just Marcus Smart, Jalen Green. A two-way contract for Phoenix is out too, so not a big deal. We might get a Jordan Goodwin revenge game. He does play for Phoenix if you didn't catch that or haven't watched them much. Actually, he's been playing pretty well for them, is a rotation player for them. I even put a little player prop bet on him tonight to make a three-point shot, so we'll see if that goes in. But yeah, it should be a fun matchup. Do a few more comments here, and then we'll turn off the live stream for the night. Appreciate you guys tuning in, though. Do this one. What matchups do I think the Thunder defensively have an advantage over the Lakers? I mean, that's kind of tough to say they have the advantage, even though they have a really good defensive team and great individual defenders. Obviously, I'm going to say that Luka, LeBron, and Austin have the advantage over pretty much anyone. It's harder to play good defense than it is to be really good at offense in the NBA. Advantage-wise, though, I'd say that they have the front court advantage with Holmgren. I think Ayton's played great on defense. I even think Jackson Hayes has been pretty good off the bench. But with Chet Holmgren, who is the perennial all-defensive player of the year, all-defender, defensive player of the year even. I think he was top 3 last year. Isaiah Hartenstein, very good on defense. they definitely have the front court matchup advantage, I'd say that. Individual defensive wise, you can argue back and forth. I think Caruso can take on pretty much any matchup 1 through 3. He's even shown that he can take on and bother some big players like Nikola Jokic at times. So Caruso is a tough one. Cason Wallace, that's a headache. He usually defends Austin Reeves, and last time they played, he did pretty well. Lou Dort obviously can be a headache. Luka has given him hell. Lou Dort's at times won the matchup at times, but yeah, they have a bunch of great individual defenders. They have a great team defense, so you can point to a few things here and there. Keon Ellis trade. Yeah, I'd love to see a Keon Ellis trade. I'm not sure if it'll happen though. Here we go. Did LeBron just sit out last game for rest? Yeah, pretty much. I think they called it, I don't know, even probably some injury management, maybe groin or hip, whatever they called it. But yeah, purely for rest. They don't want to play him on back-to-backs yet. Yeah, definitely looking forward to this one. Somebody commented DeAndre Ayton. Yeah, Mark Williams and DeAndre Ayton matchup tonight. Can't wait for that one. Yeah, me too. That should be a fun matchup. I'm sure there'll be a little bit of added intensity with Mark Williams, knowing that they vetoed or kind of didn't want to push the trade through. You know, pointed out on his physical examination that he had something wrong and something going on with it. He seemed to be pretty mad about that. Then not too long after that, getting traded from Charlotte to Phoenix. So I think he'll have a little added motivation tonight. Ayton, obviously, the Suns gave up on him back in 2022, 23, or 2023, 24, can't remember. But yeah, they were the first team that gave up on him. He left for Portland, and now he's in LA, so it should be a fun matchup. Oh, okay, I get what you mean with that comment. Okay. Yeah, love to see Austin developing into an all NBA caliber guy. Changes this team's ceiling so much. When LeBron returns to being top 15, it's going to be unstoppable. I mean, even with LeBron right now, who's, getting back into shape and, returning to form, they're a top 5 offense. They've actually been the #1 rated offense in the past 7 games now, I think. So they're already pretty much unstoppable. We'll have to see it, though, against a few tougher opponents. I will say that. All right, a couple more comments. We'll shut it down for the night. If you're just tuning in, no Marcus Smart. I'll repeat that one more time. Do I got this pulled up? Yeah, no Marcus Smart tonight. He is the guy out for the Lakers, the only guy out for them. LeBron's back tonight. Ayton is playing tonight. For Phoenix, no Jalen Green, and that's pretty much it. Other than that, we have a pretty healthy matchup. Ayton versus Phoenix, revenge game for him. Mark Williams versus the Lakers, maybe a revenge game for him. Luka, LeBron, Austin, Devin Booker, Dylan Brooks. Should be a fun one. Oh, God. Opinion comment. One more here. Appreciate your comment here. Thanks for everything. You easily have triple the subs. I don't know about that, but I appreciate it. Appreciate you guys watching, tuning into the live stream tonight. Appreciate you guys watching the videos in general. Wouldn't be able to do it without you guys, so definitely appreciate it. Hopefully we all enjoy the game tonight. Hopefully it's a good game tonight, ending with another Lakers W, continuing their 7-game win streak. Hopefully it happens. I guess we'll all wait and see. But yeah, 8-game win streak on the line tonight. We got one more super chat before I could end here, so I'll do that quick. But yeah, is a good matchup tonight. Definitely looking forward to it. We have a super chat here from Ivan Torres. How am I liking JJ's coaching so far? I'm definitely liking it. I don't know if you mean only this season or entirety. I think it's been pretty good. I like the more pick and roll identity that he's adopted this season. I made a pretty lengthy video about that not too long ago if you didn't watch that. But to kind of accommodate Luca more in their offense and take advantage of what he does well, I think it's actually accommodated Austin Reeves better than last season too. The pick and roll game, the little stunts they pull within the pick and roll game, off ball screens to incorporate all three of Luca, LeBron, Austin, even Rui Hachimura too. I think he should maybe diversify his defensive scheme a little bit. Not only scheme, but maybe incorporate a few guys here and there differently. Personal preference, but overall, I think it's been good. The numbers show it. Obviously, the record shows it. They're, 15-4 now, 7-game win streak, top 5 offense, 5th rated offensively. Even, I think, up to 15th defensively. So, even without a lack of defensive talent on their team, not a whole lot of it, not even playing a majority of their best defenders, they're doing okay. So, can't complain about it. Appreciate the super chat, though. Appreciate you tuning in. But yeah, I think that'll pretty much do it, guys. Appreciate everyone tuning in to the live stream. We got a fun matchup tonight. Looking forward to the Dylan Brooks matchup. See if he'll pull any more antics against LeBron. That's a long running feud going on here. See if Luca and Austin can go off for 70 plus again tonight. LeBron, if he'll look good as he was prior to sitting out last night. All around a fun matchup. Haven't played a really good above average team in roughly a week now, so it'll be a good test for them. Again, though, appreciate you guys tuning in. That'll do it for the live stream. Hopefully it's a good game tonight.